Okay, so we're recording this, so if you are not able to watch the call in real time, then you can hopefully watch it on replay. And if you are watching it on YouTube, just maybe comment in the comment section, just just comment like replay, and feel free to leave questions there, and we will find those and get to those. So for those of you who don't know me, my name's Andrea, and I am a fellow NXPT member. I'm also a registered dietitian and exercise physiologist. And so I have the honor and privilege of helping out with nutrition for the challenges. And it's really fun to do this. We have had good success in the past with recording these videos, having you guys come on and be able to ask me questions. Nutrition is very individualized. So if you ask me kind of a very specific or like really individual question, we can kind of have a conversation like offline. But for the most part, just kind of general nutrition information. And I would love to answer your guys' questions. So kind of how these have worked in the past is not everybody is super chatty, which is fine. So I will just kind of lead the conversation. And if you guys have questions or comments or anything that you want to say, feel free to please unmute yourself and you can just chime in. Alternatively, you can just use the chat feature. I have the chat box up, and so I will be able to see your guys's questions, comments, and I can kind of look at that and then respond to everybody. So I hope everybody is enjoying the challenge so far. I have really been liking the yoga, and I like that they're doing the yoga challenge with the board that you can mark off your yoga classes on. I just got back from hot yoga this evening, so that's why I look
so
like
she
I
was
just
there,
got
and I
out of the
didn't
hot
even know
yoga
it.
room. But we are here to talk about
class.
nutrition. So hopefully everybody watched the first video that I pre-recorded on how to interpret your body scan results. So if you haven't already watched that video, it's quick, it's like under 10 minutes. And go back into the YouTube library and watch that video because it's super important and it gives you information on how to kind of read through your body composition scan results and kind of what to do with that information. Everybody has different goals for these challenges. Some people have body composition goals. So we want to get you kind of the information that you need so you can achieve those goals over the next 6 weeks. Other people have more performance goals or any type of health or fitness goal. And so with nutrition, we are addressing both of those things. We can support body composition changes and then also just health, performance, fitness, you name it, nutrition is part of the game. So you guys are already coming to NXPT, which is awesome, coming to the classes, getting consistent with those, and it just takes time. And then you're coming to NXPT for maybe 45 minutes, maybe an hour, maybe you're doing 2 classes, but then the rest of the day, it comes down to your lifestyle and the food that you put into your body. So kind of my philosophy and how I look at food is that food is fuel. Just like a car runs on gasoline, our body runs on food. So it's important to put good fuel into your body, and that will enable you to have the energy to accomplish the things you want to accomplish throughout the day and in the next 6 weeks, kind of whether that's body composition goals or otherwise. So why don't you guys just, so I make sure that you can hear me and see me, why don't you guys type in the chat and just let me know if this is your first challenge, if this is your 10th challenge, if you're new to NXPT, kind of throw some numbers in there. So just let me know if you guys are new to this or if this is just another walk around the block. So type in the chat box. First challenge, awesome. Welcome, Cash. Thanks for sharing. Okay, who else? First time. Okay, awesome. This is really helpful too. First challenge. Cool. Okay, so you guys are not alone. There's a lot of first timers. That is awesome. So especially for you guys that this is your first challenge, hopefully you've gotten your body scan and you've watched the video on kind of how to interpret your results and kind of see where you're at now. The body composition results, that's just a snapshot in time. And it gives you some information, but What really is key is that you come back in 6 weeks and do the scan again, because what we're really looking at and what's really meaningful is the change over time and the trend to see to reinforce the good habits that you have done and see if those are working, or what else you kind of need to tweak and work on. So make sure, if you haven't already, to go back and watch the body composition, how to interpret your results video. That should be saved in the YouTube library. So when it comes to nutrition, I'm just going to go over kind of some general, like, where to start. And I said earlier, nutrition is really individual for everybody, because so with that said, sorry, Dan entered a comment and it distracted me. Nutrition is really individualized for everybody. And so I am going to give kind of general information and what I typically see, and you just take what applies to you and try something out. The cool thing about nutrition and kind of having like a functional approach, just like we have a functional approach to fitness, is that you can try something out, scale it, adapt it to what works for you. And if it doesn't work, you can change it. So, you know, look at what you're doing now, kind of assess what you're doing now. If something is not working, change it. And maybe it's still not working, so you can change it again. So everyone's going to be a little bit different. Kind of take what you think applies to you and try something out. Nothing changes if you don't change. And, you know, you're not alone. So let's see what Dan said. Lots of people are hesitant to eat the right amount of calories per day. Most common thing is people are worried if they eat what we calculated, they might gain weight. And so that is a very common concern. And like I just said, try it out. If you do gain weight, you can always change course again. But most of the time, we see people, when they increase their calories and they improve the quality of the food that they're eating, they have better energy. They're able to go harder in the workouts. And then probably one of the biggest things that I see right off the bat, especially for people that are new, is that your recovery is so much better. And people often overlook that because you're just thinking about, you know, the end result. But what is important and what nutrition can do for you is that when you start to eat better and eat more, not only are you able to push harder in the gym, but you're able to go to the gym more days a week. You're able to be consistent with your workouts, and you're able to recover faster so that you can get back in the gym and keep pushing. If you're chronically under eating, you might be able to go hard Monday, Tuesday, especially if you've eaten a lot or overdone it on the weekend. You're able to do fine on Monday and Tuesday, but then that under eating is going to catch up with you, and you're not going to get as much out of your workouts the remaining days of the week. And so the recovery aspect is one reason to try to increase your calories and just see how it goes. And like I said, if you start to eat more and you start to gain weight, you can always change that. The quality of calories matters too. So eating fruits, vegetables, lean proteins, whole grains, foods that are filling and satiating. Sometimes it looks like a larger volume of food, but it's actually not. It's actually fewer calories. So that's the cool thing about fruits, vegetables, whole grains, foods that are really high in fiber, and also high protein foods like eggs, meat, dairy. All of those foods are high in protein, high in fiber, so they actually fill you up and keep you fuller for longer on less calories. So it might seem like a big volume of food, but it's actually fewer calories. But you still want to make sure that you're hitting that calorie goal. I can't emphasize enough, especially for the females, that you have to eat more than your basal metabolic rate or your resting metabolic rate, or else your weight will not change, because your body is actually going to lower your metabolism to live off of the little food that you're giving it. And then you're going to run out of energy for your workouts. Your body is not going to think it's a safe environment to lose weight. The goal, if your goal is weight loss, what you want to do is you want to be able to facilitate a slow, gradual weight loss in as little calorie deficit as possible. So that might mean only half half a pound a week to a pound a week. You you want the weight loss to be slow, gradual, steady, because what's happening is the behaviors, the changes that you're implementing and the behaviors that you're learning and the new habits that you're forming, if it's gradual and small, it's more likely to be something that's going to be sustainable, that you're going to be able to continue far past the 6 weeks. So if, let's see, Dan says increasing workouts to 2 times a day, adding in running, yoga. So if you are increasing your workouts, you definitely want to make sure that you're not under eating. So I'm just going to throw some numbers out there in case this applies to anybody. Like females should be eating anywhere from probably 1,800 calories a day all the way up to like 2,500 calories a day. I see these like online, I see these like 1,200 calorie diets and this and that. Like no adult at NXPT, like absolutely not one person that I have seen or will meet ever at NXPT should be eating 1,200 calories a day. Even 1,400 calories is way too low. Those are amounts for like little kids, not grown adults that are exercising at NXPT, especially if it's 2 times a day. So make sure that you're eating above your resting metabolic rate, whatever that is. And just kind of general ranges. For females, that's probably going to be well over 1,800 calories and above. For males, it's going to be quite a bit higher. It could be 2,200, 2,400, all the way up to 3,000 or even over that, depending on how much you are working out, if you're trying to put on muscle, and what your weight is to begin with. So if you are adding multiple workouts, it kind of depends, you want to strategize and schedule those depending on what your goals are. So because you don't, like if your goal is to like gain muscle, you wouldn't want to do anything to like inhibit that muscle growth and like lean body mass that you have just, if you've just done like a strength training workout. So if you are adding like running, if you're adding yoga, things that are like lower intensity, you can usually do that like the second workout of the day and have your strength training be the first workout of the day. Rest and recovery is an important part of this process. If you've heard my videos before, you've heard me say that I recommend 2 rest days per week, and they should be split, so preferably not together. And it should be after like a hard day, or if you are doing 2 workouts a day, maybe have the next day be a recovery day. We have a question in the chat, says, if you're eating 2,400 calories per day, what percentage should be protein? So if you go to if you sign into the members only section of the NXPT website and you download the calorie calculator worksheet, you can kind of see the macronutrient kind of plate distribution that we have laid out. You can do it as a percentage, but that only makes sense if 2,400 calories is the right amount for you. So you can also do it for your body weight. So you can aim for like 1.2 to 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. So to find out what your weight is in kilograms, all you have to do is take your weight in pounds, divide it by 2.2. That gives you your weight in kilograms. So I'll use myself as an example, and I'll just use my calculator on my iPhone. So I weigh 150 pounds. So I'm going to divide that by 2.2. That gives me 68 kilograms. I'm going to multiply that by 1.2. I should be eating at least 82 grams of protein per day, all the way up to 68 times 1.5 is 100. So I aim to eat, and I do eat, about 80 to 100 grams of protein per day. So that's what I recommend calculating for your protein intake. And protein intake should be split throughout the day. So if I'm aiming to have 100 grams of protein per day and I eat 4 times a day, then I want to make sure that I'm getting, easy math, 25 grams of protein at each meal and or snack all throughout the day. Yeah, thanks, Dan, for putting that calculation there. So rest days, they can be yoga. You really have to listen to your body and make sure that you are sleeping enough, that you are eating enough, and that you really are allowing your body adequate rest. Because if you're constantly emptying the tank and never filling it back up, you're not going to get training adaptations, you're not going to lose weight, and you're not going to meet the goals that you have set out for yourself because you're possibly getting into like overtraining. So our body is resilient, but it's also very smart, and it wants to be in homeostasis and it wants to feel safe. And so if you're constantly putting stress on your body in the form of exercise, activity, work, life, and not sleeping enough, all of these things that are telling your body to kind of be in fight or flight mode, and you're never allowing yourself rest and recovery and downtime and adequate sleep, then you won't be able to progress. So rest days absolutely can be yoga, but it's also okay to not do any activity on a rest day and take a full day off. But yoga, anything that's like low intensity that doesn't get your heart rate up really high. So any type of yoga, other mobility, foam rolling is really good to do on your off days. Like walking, anything that's like really just low intensity. Okay, so Dan likes my analogy, or I guess analogy, when I talk about like moving the needle. So this is just kind of like a theory and how I think about things in my head, and how I think about like nutrition and even exercise, is that like do the simple things well and kind of go for the low hanging fruit, or things that are going to make the biggest difference. So what's going to move the needle like the farthest on the scale? So like people ask me all the time about supplements and about certain products and like this and that, and like all these little things that are like maybe a 1% change, or the cherry on top, or this or that. And it's like, forget all that. Like if you're not doing the simple things well, and you're not doing the things that are going to move the needle the farthest, like that's where you need to start. You need to build a foundation. You need to make sure that you have a consistent exercise schedule that builds in enough rest. You need to make sure that you're sleeping enough every night. You need to make sure that you're eating well above your basal metabolic rate. And if you are then looking to put on muscle, that you're eating a lot more than that. If you're looking to lose fat, you're eating high protein and having the smallest calorie deficit that's possible and feasible for you. And just doing the simple things well, low hanging fruit, go for the things that are going to make the biggest difference and move the needle the farthest. Michael has a really good question. Is there a time before bed that I should stop eating fruit? So first of all, there's no rules regarding fruit. You can eat fruit. You should eat fruit. I like to keep my fridge stocked with frozen fruit because it stays good for a long time. You can put it in oatmeal. You can have it with yogurt. You can put it in smoothies. You can add it to like literally anything. So fruit is awesome to have. Fresh fruit, also frozen fruit. I like to, like, you can get a bunch of bananas and peel the bananas and put the bananas in Ziploc baggies, put them in the freezer. You can have those ready to go for like smoothies and things like that. You can make individual smoothie bags with frozen fruit and put it in the bag, and then all you have to do is add it to the blender and add liquid. Fruit is awesome. So is there a time before bed that you should stop eating fruit? I'm going to take the fruit part of that question out, and just, is there a time before bed that you should stop eating? And this is going to be different for everybody, but kind of a general rule is that like 2 to 3 hours before you're planning on falling asleep, like getting in bed and falling asleep, that's when you should have your last meal. So our body has a circadian rhythm that I'm sure everybody is aware of, because it's the light and dark cycle that allows us to wake up in the morning and be awake during the day and then go to sleep at night. And there's different hormones that are sending messages during the waking hours versus during when we're asleep. And some of those have to do with our appetite, and either like our hunger hormones or our satiety hormones. And so you want to kind of align your eating with your circadian rhythm. And so you want to have your last meal or snack like 2 to 3 hours before bed. Something small like a snack later than that is probably fine, but like your last like real meal, try to have that no more than like 2 to 3 hours before you're planning on falling asleep. Because if you are eating a large meal and then going to bed, your body is trying to process that food. And when you eat, that's giving your body cues to like be awake and alert and give you energy to go do something, right? So you don't go fill your car up with gas and then park it, right? You fill your car up with gas so that you can drive somewhere. So thinking of the same analogy that your body, in the same way that a car runs on gasoline, your body runs on food. We don't need to be eating. We don't need to like fuel bedtime. So I would say like look at your day and look at your eating times and your either active when you're most active. So whether that's working out or maybe if you have like a physical job, and kind of see when your meal times are and make sure that you are eating and getting meals and snacks during your most active part of the day. And then in the evening, make sure that your dinner is kind of timed appropriately so that you have time to digest, so that when you're sleeping, your body can focus on repairing your muscles from our hard NXPT workouts and clearing our body, allowing the detoxification process to happen naturally through our liver and our kidneys, and allow your body really just to rest and repair. So I hope that answered your question. Again, fruit, it doesn't really matter what time of day you're eating fruit, and you should be eating fruit. Hopefully you're getting it in either fresh, frozen, variety of ways. And really my only recommendation for timing in bed is that like that last meal should be no more than 2 or 3 hours before you're going to go to sleep. And then for sleep hygiene, I'm sure everybody has heard to kind of cut off bright light and screens like at least an hour before bedtime. So really winding down and looking at like what's your bedtime routine at the end of the night. What other questions do you guys have? We have these Zooms are only about 30 minutes and then they're going to cut us off. So we're kind of coming to that time point. So if anybody else has any burning questions, feel free to type them in the chat box. I'm also going to put my email if you guys have questions that you want to send me off of Zoom. That's perfectly fine too. You can email me. You can find me on Instagram and send me questions as well. Let's see, what else is important for just getting started? Usually I talk about like your environment and just kind of evaluating what your eating environment is like. So in your kitchen, do you have clear countertops? You don't have, or you do have healthy food sitting out. So you have your fruit bowl on the counter, not much else. And you have foods that you want to be eating more of the time in plain view. So even in your refrigerator, having cut up fruits, vegetables, lean proteins available, and like in clear containers, get good Tupperware and have that kind of forefront. So when you open the fridge, you're going to be going for that good stuff. Hopefully people are at least most of the time cooking meals at home, making whole foods, making big batches of things when you have time, either on the weekend or during the week, to kind of make large batches of like proteins, grains, cut up veggies, any prep ahead of time and any planning ahead of time that's going to cut down on actual meal time is going to help you. Dan's last question of the evening is going to be, what's better, beer or wine? So alcohol has a lot of, unfortunately, sorry to be the buzzkill, but negative effects on your body composition, on your sleep, on your health. And so the recommendation for alcohol is if you don't drink, don't start. And if you do, drink in moderation. So limiting this to days when you don't have something really important going on, the next 1 or 2 days. Alcohol, even though we feel like it wears off quickly, it stays in our system for a couple of days and can reduce like our reaction time and like our cognitive function. So how we even like have our decision-making processes and things like that. So what's better, beer or wine? There's not really one that's better than the other. I would just say kind of limit all alcohol. Maybe that's something you want to do for the challenge, is really limit the amount of alcohol you're drinking just over the next 6 weeks and start to see how you feel. I bet your skin will become clearer. Your workouts are definitely going to be better. Your sleep's definitely going to be better. Maybe that's something you want to look at for this challenge. And then other goals, I mean, it just depends. Like, are you more concerned about like weight loss, and you're going to be wanting to look at the volume or the quantity of the alcohol that you're drinking? Or if there's something that you really like and you don't want to give that up, well, I'm not going to make that decision for you. And I will say that part of your health is your happiness. So everybody has to make those decisions on their own. Okay. And then another question, strategies when your partner is not on board with healthy eating, but likes to cook. Oh, well, this is a good question, and really awesome that your partner likes to cook. So what you can do is you can browse like recipes. I like Cooking Light and Eating Well are kind of my go-to. Those are both magazines, so they have like websites, and you can look for recipes on their websites. You can also look at YouTube for like different recipes. And what I would suggest is like coming up with recipes that can be modified. So maybe you have the cheese or the sauce like on the side, and that's added later for whoever wants to add that. You can also always have like a individual like side of either cooked vegetables or like a salad that you can add. If you imagine a plate, if you draw an imaginary line down the center of your plate, like half of your plate should be produce, colorful fruits and vegetables. A quarter of your plate should be lean protein, and a quarter of your plate should be healthy carbohydrates. So with recipes, you can have that on your plate, and then your partner can modify and just keep the like modifications kind of separate. So maybe they leave something on the side so that you can take your portion first, and then they can add whatever they want to add. So I think that you are lucky with a partner that likes to cook, and that you just have to just ask for some recipes and then just kind of modify and tweak a little bit for each one. So Dan puts recipes in the newsletters, so there's good ideas on there. And yeah, I would just like browse online. YouTube has a lot of good recipes. So what other questions do you guys have? I think we have a couple more minutes, and then it's gonna boot us off. Or if there's topics that you guys want me to talk about in the future, we can you can type those into the chat, and I'll make sure that I get to those next time. If you guys see me in class, please say hello and introduce yourself. I can't see your faces on here, so I just see names, but if I haven't put a face to a name yet, please come talk to me in class. I like to meet you guys and know who I'm talking to. Hopefully it's somebody. Okay, Dan, any last parting words? Knowledge is power, but if you don't apply it, yeah, there you go. Application without application is useless. Yeah, so I mean, when it comes to nutrition, like some people do need information and they do need ideas, but for the most part, like we know what to do, we're just not doing it. So really thinking about like behaviors and kind of targeting those things. And then also like go for that low hanging fruit. What's going to move the needle the most? Maybe it's just drinking more water. Maybe it's making sure you're getting in protein right after your workout, or adding protein to your breakfast. Maybe it's splitting your rest days and being more active on the weekend. Maybe it's making sure you're eating more earlier in the day so that later on in the day or at nighttime, you're not trying to backload your calories or you're starving. So everyone's going to be a little bit different. If you guys have questions for me, send them my way. And this recording will be on YouTube for those of you that are watching the replay. Thank you. Okay, we'll see you guys next week, same time, 7 o'clock Monday.